I'm Dr. Dijanna, and I'm here today with Dr. Leah. And today, guess what? We're celebrating World Oceans Day. Yes, that's right, World Oceans Day. I can't be happier.
I can't
I
even
can't even
imagine what we're
imagine what
in
we're
for in
in
this
for in
half
this half
hour
hour
because this
because this
really is
really
your
is your
jam. This
jam.
is
This is
Dr.
Dr.
Dijanna's
Dijanna's
world.
world.
She
She
lives
lives
for
for
time
time
talking
talking
about the
about the
oceans
oceans
and marine
and marine
biology, and
biology,
I
and
am
I am
really
really
excited
excited
about what
about
we're
what we're
gonna
gonna
learn
learn
today
today
and what
and
we'll
what
come
we'll come
away with.
away with.
Maybe even
Maybe
some
even
things
some
that you
things
can
that you
do
can
with your
do with your
kids that
kids
are
that are
ocean
ocean
related.
related.
Absolutely. So I'm obsessed with the ocean. I am Dr. Dijanna because I have a doctorate in marine science. I have a bachelor's degree in marine biology and atmospheric science. I just wanted to learn as much about that planet as I possibly could. So my enthusiasm comes with, 20 years of formal training and let's just say 40 plus years of just pure fascination and excitement about the ocean. So I wanted to start off with showing a little video about why the oceans are important before we get into discussing, the oceans and activities to do with your kids about the ocean. I thought it was really good for us to just frame ourselves and why the ocean is so important. I mean, I can tell you facts like planet Earth is really an ocean planet. Over 70% of the planet is covered in ocean. We've only explored less than 4% of that. I mean, there's all these facts out there, but I thought it'd be really cool for me to start off with this really cool video from one of my dear friends, Ocean Ambassador Sylvia Earle. Mario, can you link up that video so that we can share it with our viewers?
Think of the ocean as the blue heart of the planet, the part that makes the world work, drives climate and weather, generates most of the oxygen that we breathe. It drives the water cycle. It's where 97% of the water is. This is our life support system, and unless we really understand it and appreciate it, we're not going to take care of it. Knowing is the key. Using little submarines has really given me a different view. You go into the surface where it's nice and clear, blue, and you start to descend, and then the shades of blue, they just get darker and darker, purple blue, and then blue black, and finally it's dark. Most of life on Earth actually lives in the dark. The announcement of a national ocean policy is cause for hope. Hope that we will respect the ocean in ways that transcend the old ways of thinking, that the ocean is mainly a source of commodities, that the ocean is primarily a place to put things we don't want on the land, a way to think of the ocean as something that we must protect because it keeps us alive. There are things that we can do right now to protect what remains of the good systems, the healthy systems, to identify the critical places, the breeding areas, the feeding areas, and restore what we can of those that have been depleted or damaged. I was around when the first National Ocean Policy was released, the Stratton Commission, many years ago. At the time, it seemed that the ocean was so big, so resilient, that our job was to find ways and means of catching more fish. Now we know that the ocean has values far beyond pounds of meat, barrels of oil. We now understand that the ocean gives us life. It drives the way the world works. Now, around the world, there are more than 4,000 places that are protected. Ironically, although it sounds like a lot, it amounts to a fraction of 1% of the ocean as a whole. The blue heart of the planet. How much of your heart do you want to protect? Whatever it is, a fraction of 1% is not enough.
28 seconds. 28 seconds. Dijanna.
All right, you guys, that was a message about why we should protect our oceans from Ocean Ambassador Sylvia Earle, longtime ocean advocate. And the reason why to get us started is because there's 5 key points that all of us should know about the ocean. And one is that the ocean, Earth has one big ocean and it has many different features. And all of life on Earth exists because Earth has an ocean. which is kind of a big deal, why we have World Oceans Day. If we didn't have the ocean, we wouldn't have life. NASA right now is searching for planetary bodies in our solar system and in solar systems beyond that have liquid water. Because if they have liquid water, that's an indication that there's probably life there, or there has been life there, or there will be life there. So this whole connection between the oceans and life is super, super huge. Now, we have a huge impact on our oceans. Not all of us all around the country can constantly see the ocean, but our day-to-day habits and what we do have a huge impact on the health and well-being of the ocean. So today I came up with some questions for us to kind of throw around. When it comes to protecting our ocean and thinking about planet Earth, there's two key things that I think parents and teachers and educators and just human beings should really zoom in on. And that is, in order to protect our oceans, we need to think about what it means to be a steward of planet Earth. What does it mean? What does stewardship mean? What does environmental steward? How can we be good stewards for planet Earth? And what does it mean to be sustainable? To put in practices that are sustainable practices that lead to global environmental and even ocean sustainability. So the questions that I'm going to ask the panel to think about for our conversation is, wow, we live on this amazing planet. We should really be calling it the blue planet, but we'll talk about that later because it's mostly ocean. Over 50% of the oxygen that we breathe is produced by organisms that live in the ocean. The ocean provides food for over 78% of humanity on planet Earth. So in terms of our actual resources, in terms of food and energy and what we're eating, we depend on the ocean as well. And the ocean regulates climate and weather. So these are the ocean's pretty important. So I wanted to just frame this in a way for moms, dads, teachers, educators, and human beings to think about, like, what does it mean to be a steward of planet Earth? Like, what does that look like in our daily lives? What does being a steward look like in our homes, in our classrooms, when we're interacting with friends? What does it mean to be a steward of planet Earth? When planet Earth is mostly ocean and we talk about being a good steward for planet Earth, we're talking about being a good steward for the oceans as well. So I wanted to throw that out there to start the conversation. Like, what does that even mean to be a good steward, or to be like stewardship? What does that mean? And how can that have a positive impact on planet Earth?
So,
Throwing it
So,
out
Dr.
there.
Dejana, should we
introduce
introduce
our
our
guests
guests
and
and
let
people know who will be joining us in this conversation?
That's probably important. I know I'm all about the ocean, but it might be nice to introduce who we have. Would you like me to do that, Dr. Leah? I'm
Go
happy to
right
introduce
ahead.
our panel.
Yes,
Thank you
Yes,
so
please.
much again, our contributors. We love having you. We have again joining us Dr. Marcella Klein-Williams. Hello, hello. An accomplished leader. Her strengths include organizational development, systems design, and strategic partnership. She has led an impressive career in both teaching and administration within the P20, that's preschool through graduate level people, California education system. And she's been working in that system for over 26 years. So happy to have you.
And Dijanna, I think this might be something that you might not know about me. I have been an island wife for over 25 years. So my husband was the National Park Ranger out on San Miguel Island. So we were lucky enough to raise our children going out to the island. So I'm officially an island wife for 25 years. That's a long time, huh?
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. I love that. And she's talking about, we're here in California. Is that our local Channel Islands that you're talking about?
That is.
Ever you have the opportunity to visit Southern California, you must make a trip to the Channel Islands that we have here: Catalina, Atacapa, Santa Rosa, San Miguel. Obviously, I'm obsessed with all of them. They are amazing. I've never been to San Miguel. Thank you for that fact. That's amazing. So, of course, we're even more excited to have her as a contributor today. Thank you for sharing that bit of information. We're also joined by Mark Riddle. Now, Mark has a PhD in sociology from the University of California. That's a great one. So do I. but not in sociology, and currently serves as the University Director of Education Effectiveness for West Coast University, an institution that's dedicated to educating healthcare professionals. Mark is somewhat local, living close to LAX with Stacy and their two cats. Welcome, Mark. Happy to have you
Pleasure to have
again.
you. Thanks.
And then lastly, we have Jamie joining us. Jamie, I don't have a complete paragraph for you, but let me tell you, Jamie is an amazing educator. She teaches fifth grade at a local independent school. She is an education leader, and she also is a fellow mom doing homeschool or schooling at home, just like I am. Welcome, Jamie.
With three master's degrees,
education,
psychology, and marriage and family therapy. So an academic at heart.
Yes. So you guys, you are in for a treat. Amazing group of contributors to have a really cool conversation on why should we protect the ocean and what does it mean to be a steward of planet Earth?
I think Marcella,
Dijanna?
yes, please.
Yeah, I knew she was going to jump in. Let's do it.
I've got to. I think stewardship, to me, kind of one of the underlying characteristics is love. And I think probably the most important contribution that I've made to protecting our oceans is developing a love of the oceans for not only my children who got to grow up there, but also the children that I had the honor to teach as well. So it's developing that sense of connection and that sense of love, is that the islands and the ocean here is the backdrop of so many of our stories. It's the backdrop of where my husband proposed to me. It's the backdrop of the beach fires and roasting marshmallows. So it's developing that sense of connection that then leads to kind of the thoughtfulness of, we don't really have to use that plastic. We can get glass tubs because we don't want that to end up in the ocean at some other future point. So I think stewardship for me begins with developing a sense of love and connectedness to the oceans.
I love that. Like, really, I do. I love that. Love and connection, right? It is the backdrop of the story that we tell. And that story leads to a connection that will cause people to take action. But that's beautiful. Stewardship, love, and connection. Well said. Well said. Mark, I'm curious, when you think of the term stewardship or environmental stewardship, or what does it mean to be a steward of planet Earth? What are some things that come to mind?
I was just thinking about I pulled up my computer dictionary, as I am wont to do, and I just see that one of the earliest meanings of steward is somebody whose responsibility it is to take care of something, especially somebody else's something, right? I think I have the sense that we frequently think of the earth as like our own living room, and if you want to throw some crap in it, then so be it. But we're really charged to be stewards of the place, to maintain it, to leave it in a shape that for everybody who to whom it belongs, rather than just what can I extract from it, what can I gain from my experience of the thing. It's a just precious gift that we're all charged with preserving for everybody else that we're currently living with, but also the folks who will be coming after us.
Well said.
Well said.
Well said. Dr. Leah.
Wow. I love the ocean. I love living near the ocean. I for many years drove back and forth up and down PCH to get to my office, and every day felt an appreciation for it, but nothing even close to what I feel as a result of having a little bit of time around you, Dr. Dijanna, and hearing your passion and your thoughts, and really not having considered the fact that so much of our life is dependent on this body that we know so little about. And how do we make sure the next generation is even more curious and digs a little deeper and gets us that moves that to at least a 10 to 20% of the ocean that we've studied and understand? And maybe
And
that's a
maybe
good
that's a
time
good time
to
to
call
call
on
on
Jamie
Jamie
about
about
like how
like
do
how do
you
you
instill this
instill
in the
this in
next
the next
generation.
generation.
Fifth
Fifth
graders are
graders are
just
just
coming of
coming of
age
age
and
and
becoming
becoming
aware of a
aware of a
world
world outside of
me and
me
mom
and
and
mom and
dad.
dad.
So
So
what do you
what do
do
you do
there?
there?
It's funny, just as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, I know how we do that with the next generation. Because one of the things that we do in our classroom is we have a spotlight on sustainability. And so each student picks a sustainable topic, something about how to improve the world or leave it in a better place than it was. And so it allows us to have conversations about why it's important to care for the world and what our responsibilities are. And that's great in a fifth grade curriculum, because that's also where we start to study government and what our responsibility as a citizen is. So a citizen and having and being a steward is sort of a similar idea. When you put them together. But I think helping the kids understand that it's their responsibility, but it's also their great honor to be able to care for these things and do more. And research shows us that if you can catch a kid in fifth grade at about the 10, 11, 12-year old, really 10, 11, 9-year old, you can instill really good habits at that time. So if we can help them at this age see the importance of their actions and that their actions have an impact, an actual effect on the environment around them, they're more likely to continue those habits as they get older. So I know 10 years ago, I was talking to my students all the time about planting vegetable gardens in your backyard and how that was, it would be so great. What if you just planted one vegetable? What if we just planted in one little container? And so we just do one and grow from there. And now so many people have gardens in their backyards. But now, focusing on the ocean, and I was so moved by that clip. There was a quote in there that I thought was really poignant, especially for right now. One of the things she mentioned, which I think a lot of us know, but maybe don't think about that often, is that most of life in the world lives in the dark. So it lives in the dark of the ocean. But if we think about right now, what's happening to the world is we're finding out that a lot of us have been living in the dark, even feeling as though we are enlightened, that there's a lot being shown right now that even people have worked really hard to not be in the dark. There's still so much darkness there because we can't see it for how much there is. And to think about the ocean and how much is there that we haven't discovered, and the planets that we're looking to, and just trying to find water, right, Dr. Dijanna? Just trying to find water. And here we have so much of it. What if we focused on the resources we have here?
So true. So true. I want to share a little story of how I got involved in the ocean. I was actually terrified of the ocean most of my young life. And I love that you can, as a fifth grade teacher, you're having conversations about connection and responsibility and stuff. But my fascination was that it was this mysterious and dark place. I grew up in Southern California, so we can't see that far in our ocean. We're blessed to have lots of phytoplankton and nutrients in our ocean that turn it greenish brown. So you can't really see very far. And I was like captivated, but terrified. Like, what is in that deep unknown? And that little piece of curiosity, what lives in the ocean? Why is it there? What is it doing? Why is it so much of planet Earth? I went on this path of asking questions about the ocean, but I was very fortunate because I had the opportunity to live next to it. And so my teachers, we got to go to field trips to the beach and I got to see the ocean. And I soon learned that the ocean wasn't such this mysterious, disconnected place, kind of like outer space, but this ocean was really responsible for some of the things that I take for granted every single day. Early on, I learned that the ocean produces more oxygen than all of the forests and the trees on our entire planet. I'm like, wait, what? Where it comes from the ocean? And then I learned that the ocean, it reflects a lot of the energy that comes from the sun onto our planet. It reflects that back out to space, kind of helping to moderate our climate here. The ocean eats or sinks a lot of the CO2 that we put in the atmosphere to kind of balance out our climate so that we don't have too much CO2 like Venus. Yeah, the surface of Venus, that vacation, a little hot at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. There's lots and lots and lots of CO2 in their tiny little atmosphere. Doesn't have an ocean. The ocean helps with that. And so my curiosity led me to want more information. And the more information I obtained about the ocean, the more I realized what my responsibility was to take action on the ocean. So I think it's kind of 2 parts here, that education piece. So there's the curiosity, what is the ocean? what is it doing? Like, what's out there? That curiosity piece will lead to the gathering of more information, which is the education. So collecting and gathering information, and that will lead you to kind of want to take action or do some sort of experiment or take it to the next step. So on World Oceans Day, I think it's a great opportunity for us to just highlight, yes, we have an ocean. It's amazing. There are so many things that you can learn about this ocean that impact your everyday life. We do one of these labs in my classroom where I have the kids bring in random stuff from their house. I just say, bring a product in from your house, anything. They bring in toothpaste and shampoo and whatever. Every single product has an ingredient that came from the ocean. So literally the ocean is in their home, and most 90% of the time they're using that product almost daily. And so they're like, what? The ocean is in my house? What's going on? But the ocean is so important. So being curious, gathering information can really inform your student or your child to take action. And that's really what World Oceans Day is all about. It's just to bring awareness that yes, we live on a water planet, that like the only one in our solar system. Well, maybe the moon of Jupiter, Europa, might have some ocean on it. We don't know yet, but we think it's underneath 3 miles of frozen ice on the surface. Maybe one of your kids or your students will figure that out, and be a part of the Europa program. But this is all about bringing awareness to our planet. Our oceans are important. We are connected to our oceans. And once we hear and learn the story of the ocean, I think we'll develop that love that Marcella was talking about for not only the ocean, but for this water planet that we live on. And that love will lead us to become better stewards. I'm going to take a step off of my soapbox about the ocean.
I think we were all with you, so not a problem.
I can go on forever, but I'm really passionate about the ocean, and I really love your analogy, Jamie, about what's happening today, and that quote about being in the dark, and how once we shed light on the dark, our eyes are open and we take action. Right now, there are people all over the world taking action from their eyes being open to something. And the same sort of things happen when we discover things in the deep sea. It's kind of a cool thing.
So I would ask this of both you, Dr. Dijanna and Marcella. Are we doing a good job of educating kids about the ocean? Are we creating that curiosity in the next generation, or are we missing an opportunity? Marcella, let's have you go first.
I was thinking about what it looks like when I go down to the beach, because there is something really magical about being at the beach. Very rarely, if you go to a park, you can see people participating in games that have all sorts of rules attached to them. But at the beach, it's kind of hands off. You want to build the sandcastle, great. Very rarely will a parent get engaged and instruct you on the proper architecture of a sandcastle, right? So it's sort of game on. I love to swim in the ocean. And what often concerns me is at the beaches, how few people are like out in the water and out in the play. Not just when it's hot outside, you get people sunbathing. But when I think about developing the love of an ocean, it's by spending time there. It's by being connected to it and having the stories that are connected. Before we went live, we were talking about the Rainbow Bridge, which is part of Chumash culture of an explanation. So all these stories that are connected to the ocean as well. So, how do we do a better job of educating children? I think some of the amazing things having to do with Algalita, which is looking at plastics in the ocean and strategies for that. How do we have people more engaged in kind of that hands-on learning and that hands-on experience, just being at the shore and looking and loving it and finding those opportunities for learning. Right now, if you go down to the river mouth that goes into the Pacific Ocean here. It's just got tons of pelicans that are there, and you can watch them take flight and soar. And I think there's some value of learning, of just sitting and being gobstruck by it. Just that admiration, which often leads to curiosity, which often leads to learning.
Absolutely. It's so true. When you have that hands-on experience, it really takes you to the next level in terms of your curiosity and your appreciation. But in all honesty, many of us don't have the luxury to be really close to this large body of water that so much of life on Earth depends on. But the cool thing is, and this kind of takes us to the next part of our conversation, is that we live in a technological age where we can open the ocean up in a way that has not been opened before through technology. And I wanted to share with you guys a couple of really cool activities that you might be able to do with your family, friends, kids at home as we celebrate World Oceans Day. No matter if you're coastal, inland, landlocked, or locked down on quarantine, you can still go out and explore the ocean. And one of my favorite experiences online is a virtual dive. Now, I am a certified scuba diver and I'm also a deep sea diver. So I've been able to explore all depths of the ocean, all the way down to about 4,000 meters. But today, even though I had 20 years of training, today anyone can go and take a virtual dive and experience some of these places. So I'm going to ask Mario if he could kind of put up that next link that I shared. I really encourage all of you listeners at home to go on a virtual dive, take a dip into this amazing ocean. Let's see if I can share it here on Zoom as well. Oh, I can't. It's been disabled. But that website is from the National Marine Sanctuary. So it's run by an organization called NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. So these are our tax dollars at work. All around the United States, there are national marine sanctuaries. These are areas in the ocean that have been protected to increase biodiversity. So you can see all sorts of sea life. If you go onto this website, you can take 360 immersive virtual dives at a variety of locations all over the world. That's right, folks. What took me 15 years to explore, you can do in 15 minutes at your desk. It's kind of crazy. So, some dives that I recommend, if you can scroll down for me, there, Mario. I really recommend taking a Hawaiian adventure dive. That's where you can explore and interact with some really cool sea turtles. You should also definitely take a shipwreck alley dive. Um, lots of archaeology and historical information is found in our oceans from maritime history, all of these shipwrecks and different sunk vessels. It's kind of cool. And then lastly, my favorite is the coral reef restoration dive. If you do spend a couple of times doing these dives, you must visit a coral reef. Due to current changes in the atmosphere and an increase of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, our oceans are becoming slightly more acidic. Okay, they're increasing in acidity. And this is having a huge impact on some of the marine life that we have in the ocean, specifically coral reefs. Some scientists predict that our coral reefs will be disappearing in the next 50 or 70 years if we continue on this path of increasing carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere. So, in order to get inspired to take action on that, go visit a reef. See how amazing these ecosystems are and how important they are to the overall biodiversity of planet Earth. We can still take action in our daily lives and save these reefs. So they're down about 50%. Yeah, 50% of the reefs that we had 50 years ago. But today, if we take action today, we can kind of save the reefs. So honestly, it's World Oceans Day. There's so many resources. I'm just sharing one because I love their virtual tours. They've taken 360 cameras and divers down to these areas to give you the most in-depth look at some amazing places on planet Earth. The ocean's important. The ocean's real. The ocean takes up 70% of our surface. 90% of the volumetric biomass of Earth is actually ocean. That means that's where most of the animals live. I gotta lower that a little bit. Sorry about that. But still, it's World Oceans Day. Take a dive.
And we have our binge watching set for us now. We know what's the next binge watch. It is diving. It is taking that deep dive into all these places that you've been to, Dr. Dijanna.
I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us, and thank you to Mark Riddle and Marcella Klein-Williams and Jamie Wagner. Thank you again, Dr. Dijanna, and thank all of you for being with us, and we'll see you on Wednesday.